What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me on Buzzing with Marlowe live, live, live. I say it again, live. I hope all is well. Happy Friday, guys. If you are new to the channel, make sure, guys, you like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay in contact with all our platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat. All of them, guys. We are there. We are there through the social media handles at Buzzing with Marlowe, and you can follow us on anywhere. Also, catch us on your audio platforms. Just to name a few, guys, we just hit over 100 downloads on Buzzsprout. A round of applause. That is a big milestone for us as well. To hit triple digits on a different platform is just a beautiful thing to say. Also, guys, we are on now officially on Apple products. I'm going to keep talking about that each and every day. That is insane to me. We have updated. We have been killing it. We have been grinding every single week. Y'all don't realize how hard it is to be on Apple products and the big change it comes when you hit that. I'm just seriously blessed. Blessed is beyond the words to say sometimes because I put in so much diligent effort to put these episodes for you together each and every week. And it's just a blessing to see how much our just community or just all around a camaraderie, um, just all together and share the episodes, listen to them, give me the feedback, talk about different things, man. It's just a beautiful thing, man. Just seriously want to thank all y'all for real. Like, I can't even fathom to tell y'all how much appreciated it is for me. But guys, today, this episode was supposed to have been out last week. I want to apologize. It was just basically my on my end. I did something and it just didn't go stream through. So obviously this episode. Guys, if you didn't check out my last week's episode, it was to promote the show that just happened, Blessings and Beatdowns for DCCW. Um, Kind of a little upset about some things regarding that, just because I heard a lot of feedback from the fans. I wasn't there. I'm sorry. Had family things to deal with, and obviously just could not make it out there. But apparently that still affected a certain someone individually, and he supposedly still blaming me for whatever. But guys, I will be good. My good guest, Jules Bradley. Guys, I know people have been asking me how his debut went. Jules performed very well. Um, we might actually bring him back on and we could watch the match and we could talk about just the emotions and stuff he had. Very proud of him. Very proud of his opponent as well, Wendell. I'm a big fan of Wendell. Wendell reminds me of me when I first started out, and Wendell has been killing it. And he's not even been wrestling fully for a year yet, and he's already had a total of 40 matches. So he's really got the idea. He's getting his grind. He's doing what he needs to do each and every week. So shout out to Wendell, and most importantly, shout out to Jules. Man, Jules came out there, performed his best in front of a crowd. His family was there. Everyone, man, he proved that he belonged. He proved that all that hard work that he's been doing, being a ref, being a security guard, now being able to lace the boots up and be in the ring is just a beautiful thing. Um, I tell people there's no feeling like it. There's no feeling like it when you go through that curtain. There's nothing that can compare to that feeling. It's crazy how the animosity goes from the build to getting everything in, and how short the match feels. Regardless how long that match is, it still feels like it just goes like that. So I'm glad he got to witness that and get to have that moment. Shout out to DCCW. They killed it. Blessings and beatdowns and blessings. That was a great turnout. I've seen the pictures and stuff recently. The crowd was into every show. The crowd was packed. It was packed at the Baker County Fairgrounds. So thank y'all to the fans that went out there and did their thing. And the most important, the superstars that came out there. And it was also good to hear that certain someone lost. So it was good to have that all in one. I want to apologize again if anybody was expecting me to be there. I'm sorry. I was just promoting the match. Just promoting the match. That I owe it to them. They've done a lot for me, and hopefully hopefully, time will tell. Maybe we can work a deal and probably get on a couple of those shows in the near future. But guys, this is episode 116, man. 116. We are literally 1 week away from Christmas, guys. I am currently in a car, getting prepared to be in a car, actually, and be in a car to go get my son. And I am excited. Um, I get to go pick my son up. Everybody knows I get him 5 times out of the year. It's Christmas time. We alternate. This year is my year to have him for Christmas. We are surprising our kids going to Disney World, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We're actually going on. We're heading about to head over, drive almost 8 hours to go pick up my son. But the biggest blessing for this day is, and the reason why I'm so happy about this drive. I usually am not happy about driving this far, but I literally get to have a moment that I've never had with my child. And I talk about it in every episode I'm on. I talk about every podcast I've been on. I've never had that feeling seeing my son at school. And I get that moment. So who knows? We might go on live or here on live, or we might film it on Instagram or something. But I'm pretty excited. I'm so ecstatic that I'm getting to pick my son up from his school. He's going to be currently at a Christmas party at his in his class. I'm surprising him at his school. I'm gonna have me, my mom, my sister, and my daughter with me. So we are literally excited about this. It's going to be an emotional thing for me just because, like I said, guys, this is going to be my first time ever getting to see my son in school. So looking forward to that. Excited. And we're about to have a crazy weekend. And obviously, the Christmas right after that. So we get him until the day after Christmas. So I'm excited about that. A lot of big plans coming up. Also, guys, check out the commission talks that just aired this today at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We were on my boy Dre's Talk Pro Wrestling, the 11:30 Talk Pro Wrestling, the commission edition. It was me, myself, and Eric the Joker. We are coming in there live talking about everything. And guys, I might do a live reaction talking about the 9 lives of Vince McMahon. Um, I just watched that last night. Kind of wanted to have my feedback a little bit on it recently, but I'm gonna wait out on that a little bit. But guys, I'm not gonna waste any more time because today we've got an awesome, inspirational, motivational episode for you today. Because today my guest is Andrea Mason. That's right, Andrea Mason is back. She is on the Buzzing with Marlowe podcast. We're about to bring it to you. We're about to have a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of chat, a lot of motivation, a lot of inspiration. Guys, if you've had a rough day, come check out this episode. Andrea is a big factor to making people appreciate what's going on around in their lives. She has helped me in so many ways, guys. I can't even fathom to tell you how many times she has sent me a quote or something that has brightened my day. Um, I may look like I have everything put together. I may think I may have like that look. Everybody looks at it like, man, I want something like what Warren's got, that lifestyle he has, man. He looks like he has himself straight. I do, but there is stuff that happens in between with me. Like I said, regarding my son, I could go to a random area and I see him holding kids and you see him getting to go to school, playing t-ball and all that. I don't have that feel. So I'm not sitting there saying, but it's just those feelings that parents always would go through, and I sometimes deal with it. Shout out to my wife, shout out to my family, shout out to my daughter. My daughter is now 4, officially 4 as of last week, Sunday. So it's been crazy, crazy, crazy in the Marlowe household. But guys, I'm not gonna waste more time. When the countdown goes 30 to 1 after the commercial break, we will be joined with Andrea Mason. And literally, guys, and that starts in 3, 2, 1, right now. See y'all in a bit.
Batsy. It was just last night, as the entire country was tuning into its favorite talk show.
You simply makes you a stranger.
VMAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
Don't even know why I'm watching, cause it ain't funny when you ain't here. But I know you're going away, so I'm watching so we can stay here. I heard you trying to protect myself. I ain't making excuses, I'm just letting you know I understand why you live. It was toxic back for your health. You're trying so hard to love me, but I really couldn't love myself. I needed your patience, baby, with times of whole time I really felt like I wasn't enough. Deleted all of your pictures cause I can't stomach the fact. After all that we've been through, my baby, not coming back. I swear that I'll go down crying while I'm writing this track. I swear that I'll go down crying while I'm writing this track. Got more words this. Day one popped out, ain't nobody in this motherfucker fly to me. These bitches all in my DM, texting them back was good, but I ain't really trying to see them.
Out, he said he accepted, and you know what? Nobody wants to see it. Because nobody remembers the American prodigy. All this history, and nobody cares. But if you could find one, that's all I'm asking. If you could find one promotion that wants to put this on, I'll be there. I will be. There's no running. There's no running. Not at all. I will be there. Right in the center of the ring. You versus me. And then when I beat you, you'll understand that maybe wrestling wasn't for you. Maybe this is a good new career change. You're a podcaster. You're an influencer, social media.
What's up? Florida, weighing 238 pounds.
All right, guys. All right, all right. I'm joined with the one and only Miss Andrea Mason. How are you?
I am doing amazing. How are you doing, Warren? All of the elevation, the hype, the esteem. You really know how to get it going. You've got so many
That means the
areas
coffee's
and
kicking
everything.
in.
No, your work, your elevation, you surpassed 100th episode, you surpassed 200 subscribers, you are soaring, and that's what it's about. You, my friend, are the possible that saw impossible and made it possible, and I'm glad, honored to be asked back, and yes, I'm so proud of you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So what's new with you? How have you been?
It's been an uphill ride. I am reaching the summit, heading new heights. I got new goals, new opportunities coming the fall. I'm so excited. I'm elevated. And your intro, your projects are like, I need to amp up my game now because of all the projects you've got coming in the pipe. A big shout out to you for the awareness. That really hits hard, the awareness, because I did a segment the other day about being the change. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to walk. And you are truly one of the leads in following your heart and not the herd. And that's what I'm about.
Appreciate it.
You know, about bringing the awareness to men, bringing the awareness to women, bringing the awareness to society. Because if we're not speaking about it, then we're just really saying we're accepting it. And that is what I really reign true. Integrity, passion, and authenticity. And you've highlighted all of those. So I'm very proud of you.
That. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because it's...
I mean, I've had personal things regarding all of those, but I'm just saying, like, those are things, like, I mean, we gotta make a change on these things because, I mean, I've seen the statistics number, I mean, it goes up, and I never see them going down.
Right.
And that's one thing, I mean, we have all these doctors and everything that could research and do all this stuff. So, I mean, why are we not taking the effort to see something if this can work? Because like I said, from breast cancer awareness, I've seen people survive it. I've seen people survive that more than colon cancer and stuff like that, which colon cancer is now being a more personal thing to us in a way, just for certain situations that we got going on right now. But it's you got to find these changes. Like, I don't care about if I make $1 million doing this thing or this jumps off and does what this. Like, I've done this just to have fun. I've done this literally to focus on making a lesson to help somebody go, you know what? Hey, that maybe this wasn't as bad. Or people get to live in my guest's shoes every single week and like, hey, I wanted to be a motivational speaker, so they can go through a motivational speaker's shoes just for an hour or how long this episode goes, and they could literally go, you know, hey, maybe I can do that. Like, literally, they learn, hey, it's the impossible is never the impossible. Like, that's one thing I always wanted someone to understand. Like, you could do it. You just got to step out. You got to step out and make that a chance. Like, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I was a pro wrestler. Yes, it wasn't just like I wanted to be a pro wrestler. It fell in my lap because of certain situations that made me go, hey, that's a better option than what I was going to do. So it's like literally just stuff that fell in my lap, and I just went and I took that ball and I tried to run as far as I could with it.
Absolutely.
And I made sure my hands were glued. That ball wasn't dropping.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we have to focus on. It's my mentor, Dr. Les Brown, had said this, it's coincidence or God's way of being anonymous. And when we take a situation, we can either fall victim to it or we can fall, move forward to victory. And it's how you look at it. It's the perspective. I mean, think about it. I didn't wake up one day and just said, hey, I'm going to be a global voice and speak on every continent. No, I was behind the scenes all the time helping others out. And I was making sure that other people were taken care of and always putting myself on the back burner. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the way. Because if you do it that way, you're always going to be second best. And you're not going to push yourself to achievement, perseverance, authenticity, and integrity. And when we look at our reflection in the mirror and we say, well, I was this, I should have, I could have, I hadn't, I didn't. Let's start changing our verbiage. Let's start changing our perspective and saying, where was I yesterday and how I could be a better version of myself today. And not only for that, and we mentioned this earlier, Warren, was it's not about us anymore. It's about who are we servicing? Whose light are we bringing to the forefront to give faith, instill perseverance, and showing that impossibility is showing them that they are possible. That's one of the amazing words in the English language. I'm possible. Yeah. And when we start carving out, Matthew McConaughey said in his speech, find out who you don't want to be, and then you'll find out who you really are. I mean, I didn't come to where I needed to be by any means on a silver platter. You know, if you've watched the previous show, you know where I came from, an up-and-coming developed country during the cartel of war. If you saw my health conditions throughout my life, they were just a laundry list of self-induced autoimmune and terminal conditions brought on upon myself. And I'm bringing up a segment coming in the fall called The Unspoken Word Needs to Be Heard. And it's talking about why you feel you are deserving, why you don't feel you're worthy, and who has defined you, who you are today. Because we're constantly looking in the rearview mirror, let's be honest. I'm not here. I'm not here. Why don't you focus on where you are now and where you were yesterday? Yeah. Because every step you've moved forward is an individual that you can help. Losses are to be lessons to be learned. Grief is a moment to give. And when we have the victim mentality, we don't understand, well, victimization, I had to be physically, sexually abused. Victimization, I had to be bullied. Ladies and gentlemen, we are victims of ourselves every single day. We compare ourselves to our spouses, our counterparts, our family, our competitors. And as a former athlete, I don't see any competitor greater than me than the one I see in the mirror. Because if I'm not working hard to do my best and do my due diligence to contribute to a team, to contribute to somebody else, then I'm not working hard. I'm just being selfish and always yearning for the grass to be on the other side, be greener. And when we are able, hear this from my heart, when we were able to stop and change our channel and our mind, and we really get to the root cause of the subconscious, because that's where it is. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Our subconscious is our worst enemy. And then you have, like I call the big brawly man of the ego, saying, you can't do that. Yeah, well, tell me again that I can't, and I'll show you I will.
Yep.
And when we change that mindset, it's going back. In order to move forward, you have to understand where you came from. And as to be an effective influencer and leader, what I always say all the time in these global connections, why did you want to be a leader in the first place? Because you know as well as I know, you didn't just get the keys, to the mansion just by chance. You had to want something. What is your why? As you brought to your attention in the beginning of this segment and then the intro, why did you get into pro wrestling? And if you keep that on the, on the dashboard of your vehicle of life, you'll never stop. You'll never give up, because your reason is you have a passion and a purpose to persevere.
I say this, I use this metaphor every single day of the week. And I love how you just said, we always look in the rearview mirror. I've experienced this recently. I've seen people and you know I use this reference a lot. I use always like talking about going to the gym, and nobody can give anybody credit anymore. Like it's literally you have to shame it to make yourself feel better. And I saw it recently. Um I was at the gym and one guy was on this treadmill. He felt very uncomfortable, whatever. And I remember he had a sauna suit and everything. And I just asked him, I was like, hey, you do know that you could be a lot safer with that. Like legit, because he looked like he was about to pass out and stuff. I was like, you need to drink a lot of water. And then when he looked at me, he's like, well, if I could look like you, I would need that problem. And I was just like, dude, like
that wasn't your intention.
You can't. I was like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but there's not a lot of people gonna live that life like mine. Like I will tell you right now, I am like that woman in that room right there. Like that woman deals with a lot with me. Like nobody should think, oh, I'm the perfect guy in this, because I've got to be the husband, I got to be the father, and then the only two times I am by myself to even have any kind of like mind restless, I think that's the best way to call it, restlessness, is when I'm doing a podcast or if I'm at the gym. And that hour at the gym, I'm sorry if you see me, I'm not going to probably acknowledge you. Because I'm in a mode like this is my free time. This is what meant. So I just felt bad about this guy. And he looked at me and was like, well, if I looked like you, I would never have to worry about this. Something like that. I was like, buddy, there's not a lot of people going to look like me because I'm just stubborn. That's the thing. Like, I'm just very stubborn. Like, my wife now knows if I don't go to the gym, like in a 2-day span between the week, she's going to tell me just get up and go. Because she knows I just get moody. I'm not happy. I'm just all over the place. Like, I feel like I'm like in a mental breakdown. And it's just because I put that in my body to realize, you know, hey, you need to stay active. You need to do this. Like there is a lot of things I've been doing, and everybody's seen the 100th episode. I've been changing my body right now to get prepared for one more, and it's been a little bit nerve-wracking now, especially me getting back in that ring, bumping around and stuff like that. It's not the same anymore because I was doing that every day. Now it's like every other week. So it's like I've COVID in there. I'm like, all right, feel like I got in a car crash, go to work, do this all over again. Oh, wait. Do I want to go next week? Do I want to do it? All right, we got to keep going. And it's just like you got to force yourself to do it. And I've actually had that problem recently. It's just because when you're not doing it every day, it is harder to continue it to go. And that's one thing I tell people, I'm like, the hardest thing is to do is to show up. If you show up 9 times out of 10, and I know how people are, oh, you know, I'm paying for the membership, so I need to at least show up to do it. You're going to go. You're not going to just go to the gym, look at it and go, nah, not today. Not today, bro. I'll go on the treadmill. You will do some effort to get in there and do something. And it might push you to keep going further and through. But it's just people have an assumption that it drives me nuts on so many things. Like how you just said they look through the rearview mirror. They never look at what's there. They never look at, hey, this is what I got today. Like I've seen it so many times. I see it on social media relentlessly. And it just makes me feel bad for these people because, like, you know, these people that wake up, oh, man, today was a rough day. How? You just woke up. I've got friends and stuff that I don't see anymore because they didn't get this opportunity to wake up. Like, I used to be like a little iffy when I first turned 30, and now I'm 31. And I'm like, you know what? I'm 31. A lot of people don't get to have that opportunity and stuff like that. That's how I see things. Like, I'm more motivated than anything now because I literally look at everything as like, we're not promised another day. We're not promised something, so why don't we make the best of every single day, every single week? Like, and it drives me nuts how people just acknowledge, like, oh, you know, like, say, like with me, I've kind of had to be careful of, like, how I say I got prepared to train because I'm waiting for those one, oh, he's taking steroids. Like he didn't look like that like 2 weeks ago. No, that's because I'm wearing tank tops relentlessly now.
Exactly.
It's hot as can be, and tank tops are like glue to me right now. Because if I could, I would be shirtless on these dang things, but I try to be nice. But it's like,
but think of that. Think of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's about perspective. You've just nailed it. Oh, well, he's in the gym. All right, well, okay, that's great. Well, if I looked like you, I didn't have to be all the time. Dude, I'm here all the time because I look the way I look. Well, now he's wearing hang tops. You think he's all that? No. Culture effect. It's hot. It's Florida. Second, yes, it's going to
100 degrees almost every day.
You know, right. You know, if you want me to lose weight, sure, I'll wear a regular tank top, t-shirt, and sweatshirt. I'll even make you more upset by doing nothing. But this is it. Misery loves company. And I say to you, if you're going to wait, my father taught me this a long time ago, and it kind of parallels what Jim Carrey's father said. You know, he says, my father was a great comedian. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. He says, but, you know, he was a great comedian, but he was accountant. So he took a safe job in the accountant firm, and then he lost his job. And then he had to do whatever it takes just to keep the family alive. My father worked on Wall Street. And he made a conscious decision. He set a goal. He wrote it down that he was going to retire at 55, him and my mother. And they worked towards it. I did a segment about the reverse law, working smarter, not harder, because people are like, oh, well, I'm working. Yeah, but are you busy? Are you productive? Because a good connection of mine is Dr. Nelson Belteshazzar. He's from the Positive Drip Top Tom. He says, he's just like, if you do 80% of your day, do the strongest 80% of your day and then 20% what have you, you know, the 80-20 rule. And it was important because when you prioritize and you plan accordingly, you can get those knocked out immediately and then have time for fun. Guys, life is fun. It's a journey. It's not a destination. We've heard these cliches over and over again. You are in your own way. And I'm telling you the truth. I would not be here if otherwise. Because I would play the blame game. I would say, well, this and this. Well, they have a better body. They have a better car. They have a better bank account. They have a better route to work. But what are you going to focus on? And for those of you who go into a deep dive of The Secret, if you can see it in your mind, you can see it in your hand, and the universe doesn't have a bias towards negative or positive. You attract what you get. So be infectious with love rather than toxic with hate. I mean, we all have areas of improvement for one another. You have areas, skill sets that I can benefit from. That's why we're connected. Vice versa. When you start looking at your connections and your environment, your community, your industry, find out what they need that you can be a service of, and you will gain the knowledge you will never thought was missing. It's a win-win situation. The competitor's mindset should be only with you, but at the same token, don't run yourself down. Because when you run yourself down, you're focusing on the destination and you're not enjoying the journey, and you're passing by all your cheerleaders, fans, and supporters. Because this is one of the threads that I always see in working with individuals I walk beside on their journey. Well, did you celebrate? No, I just continued working. Well, what are you working for? What are you doing? Why are you going on to the next goal if you're not going to embrace and celebrate your milestones? And it doesn't have to be something big, guys. It doesn't have to be something 5 years, 10 years. Every single day you should pat yourself on the back and say, I did it. I made it. And I'm going to do it again tomorrow, God willing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just do 3 things. Do a passion, a profession, and something progressive. Because when you incorporate that in your life, you're doing what you love. You're finding out that passion of what am I really good at and what can I help people with. Progression. You're evolving every day. And when I say I know everything, then I'm 6 feet under. because I'm learning every single day. I don't care who you are, what credentials, what non-credentials you are. We're human beings that learn from application and mastery every single second. And when we do the passion, the progression, and the personal is something for you. Like you when you're in the gym, or you when you're in a podcast. You're doing something in your craft that is created that can be influential and impactful. And if you're not doing those 3 goals per day, as small as they can be, saying, hey, I woke up, made my bed, took a shower, I feel good. Personal care. 2, my passion, I love influencing people. I'm going to make it a count to influence and impact one person, whether it be a stranger, a colleague, a family member, or even myself. Progression, evolve every single day. Learn something new. I learned the other day that I'm an extrovert. This hiatus of 3 years has taken a toll on me, and I never saw it until one of my friends was just like, are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm fine. You know, I'm stubborn, Taurus, Latina, you name it. And I said, I'm fine. They're like, no, you're right. I said, yeah, what? They said, well, when's the last time you did something for you? And I had to think about it. And the last thing I want is to do as I say, but not as I do. And I put that check mark on my list every morning. What did I do for me today? What is something, whether it's an investment, if, hey, I bought a caramello candy bar for today, or, hey, I reached out to somebody and said, hey, how are you doing? It doesn't have to cost a thing, but the most precious gift, and he knows it, is the gift of time. It can never be wasted or taken advantage of. And like Warren said at the beginning of this segment, there are people that are not here that were here yesterday. Life is not guaranteed. And in the words of the weightlifter Greg Plitt, God rest his soul, you only have one life, but if you live it right, that's all you need. And when we stop focusing on the negative, stop focusing on what we should be, and start being the change, that's when things are going to change. You have to believe, and you have to be serious and with a good intention. And the victim mentality sabotages your self-conscious when you're a victim of any sort, career, in the industries of your family, because they diminish your sense of self-esteem and assurance. You start questioning people. You start questioning yourself. Trust becomes a factor. Intimacy, whether it be the intimate kind between a couple, or even just an intimate with a friendship. Mm-hmm. If you're not true to your others, you know darn well you're not true to yourself. And that's what we need to emulate.
But one thing I do agree with that on is, like, see how professional athletes are. And mm-hmm. I've watched a lot of documentaries on, like, the world's greatest athletes.
Yep.
How many divorces have mm-hmm. these athletes have went through? How many times? I remember every single one of them that have, like, announced on a retirement. They're literally saying they're just still building their father. Mm-hmm. The building up being a father mm-hmm. with their kids, because they were never home. They were never around and stuff like mm-hmm. that. And it struck me because, like I said, like, I was at a very high level on sports and stuff.
Right.
I'm looking at it as, like, I've always wanted to be a family guy. I've mm-hmm. always wanted something to be involved, me being a dad. And obviously that's why it's stuff I go through sometimes to be a dad. But I'm looking at it now, like, maybe there's a reason why I don't have that type of grind, because I put family first. Right. And that's one thing a lot of people in that demographic or that background could not really do, is put family first. And it's sad sometimes, because I look up to these guys. You wear the jerseys, you see everybody, and you don't realize it until when it's either gone And then you realize how many people you pushed behind you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to build that binding ship back. And that's where a lot of these athletes get that depression. And that's where you go, oh my gosh, I never saw this, ever thought of happening. And it's just a lot of it just be that emotional breakdown in it. And a lot of people just cannot handle it because they've been told, hey, you gotta be tough. Hey, you gotta keep moving forward. Hey, keep pushing it. Keep doing this. And you just drive yourself so overwhelmed. And it's literally like there's only so much you can drive a straight and narrow until eventually you're just gonna take that turn. Yeah. And just be like, hey, I don't need this anymore. I'm turning. I'm gone. Right. I'm done. This is it. And it's sad when you see that sometimes. But Andrea. All right, guys, we are back. Thank y'all for waiting, being very patient. So, Andrea, I gotta ask you. I've seen you doing some new projects you got. Yes. So, talk about you and the world of podcasting. What are some of the experiences that you have had with that?
It's been an amazing journey. It's just amazing because, like I said, we think we have this perspective of other countries and other parts of the world that, oh, they're this way, this way, their beliefs are that way. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all made from the same thread, same creator. It's just a different experience. We all have the same book of life. We didn't come with a manual in life, but we have the same book of life. Some have longer chapters than others of grief, loss, heartache, and suffering. But we all have a common thread that we want to. 3 key points in life that I've learned by doing worldwide podcasts. They want to be heard. They want to be loved. And they want to share their story. Yep. And it's just been amazing. So what I've decided to do is I'm about paying it forward. I always have been, and so being that I've come from an up and coming developed country of South America, Colombia, I want to give back. And not everybody has the same currency as US, but it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about the time. So what I've done was each month I've dedicated my time to give back to those in need. And I'm excited to announce once a month, each month, one Saturday, I'm devoting time to give to those up and coming developing countries. So this Saturday, I'm going to be giving back to those, my friends in the Middle East and those in Africa, because they've graced they've graced their presence and belief in me. And who would have known people you've never even met have so much support and love for you. It's truly amazing and truly mind-blowing. Kind of testament back to what you had said, earlier on and in some of the clips here. Family is important, but sometimes we don't realize our family is not bloodline. And it's important to realize that you make a choice of surrounding yourself with those who love you, believe in you. Because the naysayers and the non-believers, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. And misery loves company. And in order for you to have balance in your life, in order for you to have success and to be happy, we all have 24 hours in a day. It's how you use those. And are you binge watching and laying down on the couch, or are you dedicating hours to those in your life? For me, for example, like I had mentioned, we have family abroad, and unfortunately, our family has crossed over. But I was raised in a family where every weekend we dedicated our weekends to connect with the family. In the Italian side, as the pasta was boiling and the sauce was being made, I would reach out to my mother's side of the family, or they would visit. And on the opposing weekends, we would reach out to the side of my father, of the Irish descent, the Italian-Irish, family tree. And if you don't have family, remember, it doesn't have to be blood. You need those anchors and support systems to kind of ground you. Again, as we mentioned earlier in this segment, to know where you come from and where you're going.
I love that. I love how you said that. So that's awesome that you got to experience that with just doing podcasting and for you to make that change. And I've told you numerous times, like people got a voice, and it's crazy. Like when I first started this podcast, I remember when I was like, at first I felt so weird just talking to myself on this thing.
Right.
So I was like,
Right.
all right, now I need guests.
Right.
And I was looking at it, I was like, maybe I could treat this kind of like a talk show type thing.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Right.
And that's how I figured out podcasting was. Like podcasting literally, basically a talk show.
Right.
And it was crazy. Like when I said, hey, I got this new podcast, and you just go on social media and you put it on there. It's amazing how many people will just want to talk.
Yeah.
And sometimes, now, not always saying that when they want to talk, it's the best purpose, because some of them just talk just because they believe that's their nature, and everybody knows who they are, and everybody should expect, like, oh, this should be putting me up to a movie role or something like that. Now, there's some people like that. But then you also got these other people that literally are just scared. When I say scared, I mean literally they feel like nobody can overcome what they've been through. Realize that nobody has witnessed anything that they've been through.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I love having, because you literally just see them just pour their heart out. Yeah. And they're very vulnerable, and you could talk to them, you send a message, and then after that recording is over, there's just an uplifted moment for a lot of them. Some of them it's not always great. I'm not always going to say, pour your heart out on a record button and then you're going to feel amazing. No. Like there's some that it's just like, I didn't feel any different. I'm like, it's going to take time. You need you got to break that barrier. Take that bat, hit that shell as many times you feel like it needs to just burst out. Because when you break out your shell, that's when you know something's there. And and I remember when I've talked about it a lot now, which is so funny because you were the first person that actually got me to break out my barrier. You and Stacy Simpson had me basically overcoming what I had, because as good as a plateau everybody looked at me as, when I talked about that, and they were just like, whoa, Warren? Like I had people that I went to high school with listen to that episode, was like, we would have never known, man. We never know. And it was like, we just saw you as a jock. We saw you as this. We saw you as this. And then when you got to be a father, we're like, man, that dude's living his best life. Not always. Not always. Like, you've just got to learn that there's no judgment zone. Like, and that's one thing I've told people, like, when you do a podcast, you have to just literally open an ear. You could say something's good, but you also need to just hear them out. Regardless if it's bad or good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody I agree with everyone that's talked to me on this show. No. Like, there's some I'm just sitting there looking at them like, okay.
You spoke your word.
It's like a show and tell moment. Like, explain to me why you feel that way. And that's one thing when you see me on Commission Talks, when I have my debate with my boy Blackheart, me and him both can get under each other's skin, because I just love irritating the heck out of him. That's just, I will be honest with anybody. Like, I just say it just to irritate him. I know it's going to get in his skin. He knows what to get under mine. And it's literally, we will argue about a spot being on a rock. And it entertaining because we just got that connection to where, like, all right, oh man, Warren and Blackheart's on there today. Like, I'm curious to find out what they're going to be barking at this moment. Like, I tell people all the time, like, the Commission Talks group, I was supposed to be like the calm one, whatever. No, like, I'm the barking hyena, and Shiz is just right there with me. And now we just added another guy, which Yeti, shout out to him. He's just as good in the debates with us. So we all three into this thing now. And Dre's just sitting back like this. Hey,
just observing. Just like,
have fun.
Whatever,
have fun. Like we talk about it. Dre is the more calm, collective one. Now the one highlight episode I've always did was the one where we talked about the fan jumping the stands or whatever. Dre got so hot. Like, that joke was so funny. And I was like, I ain't never seen Dre's head rattle as much as he did. Like, he always has sunglasses. It looked like you could see the steam come off his sunglasses. And I was just like, that's when you know we have a good show with this. Like I tell people, I'm like, I just irritate Shiz just to do it. And Shiz does it just to do it with me. Like we do it as an entertainment perspective. Now, there is sometimes we have gotten heated where after the camera's off, we gonna talk about it and just settle that, whatever, which is crazy because we've never met in person. We've never met in person. And we're that close.
But
and I just tell people, it's just like that thing. Like you got to realize everybody's got a voice. It's okay to let it out. But you also got to realize, and I've made it acknowledged on a recent episode I had, and I knew I was going to get some posts about it, and I did exactly what it was talking about with the Buzz Lightyear and the new scene that everybody was really upset about that episode. But what I'm saying is, you realize some of the choices you have, you got to understand you're going to have to deal with some stuff. Yeah. You cannot just sit here and post about it and think, oh, okay, that's it. No, like you need to realize, yes, there's some choices that you have, but you realize, okay, there is going to cause repercussions, but I can deal with it. I can manage it. Like I tell people all the time, like, man, I came from a military home. My dad would literally talk about me. Like all my friends would come over just to figure out what my dad would say about me that day. Like legit, like it would be entertaining to them. Yeah. Because I didn't know what the feeling was. Like I didn't understand, that hurt my feelings or whatever. Because I'm so used to it. So when people would talk about it, my friends would look at me and go, "You okay? What he just said? I said, what's it gonna do? Like that's my dad. Like, am I gonna punch my dad for some saying like that? No.
And that's what we have to understand, especially caretakers, mentors, coaches, influencers of children. We're not in the same generation life when we were growing up, and a lot of people forget that. And I'm not like my parents and my grandparents.
A lot of people don't understand that is the main problem with a lot of things too, because it's not like how we were raised on.
But look at the cliche.
That's a hard thing to realize. Like, okay, but it's always okay to do something new. Right. And that's one thing a lot of people hate that part, because we always say we got to step out of our comfort shell. There's a lot of things that are new around. Like, I remember the movie 21 Jump Street, where the dude came back and relived high school, but it was so different. Like, it was like Disney meets Mean Girls episode. Like, you got all the nerds as the cool guys. Like, I legit saw this. I saw this at a gym recently, and it was like the nerdiest kid I've ever saw. I was like, bro, this guy's got to get picked on or whatever. I'm just saying that just to be funny. And then it was like, nah, I got all the girls. And like, he's showing me the text message. I'm like, what the? I was like, what? I was like, oh man, this is a movie life now.
If you are unable to take yourself out of your perspective and be open-minded to other people. I'm not saying accepting or adopting, but if you are unable to take the blinders off and say, hey, things are different. I mean, let's be real. You and I are parents. We know we sound like our parents, our grandparents, grandparents.
It's sickening to me sometimes.
At the same time, there'll be times I'm just like, oh my gosh, I know where you're going to go. I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do. You're 10 steps ahead of the individual, your child. But then you're like, what am I doing? If I shelter them, they're not going to experience. Mm-hmm. If I let them free, am I going to set them up for fail? These are the subconscious questions as any adult caring for a younger individual, even their older parents. Yep. We have this condition that, hey, it was like when I was. No, it's not. It's not. And when it's so funny, it's kind of like a Hippocratic thought, if you will.
Yep. You don't want to believe it, even though you know. Even though you know that they're 10 steps ahead, you're still in shock because you didn't believe it would be your little precious baby. And that's one thing I love when you said that, because I don't have a lot of feeling to a lot of things, but when it regards my son, my child, my kids, that's the pull moment right there. That's that one that like jerks the curtain type scenario.
Yeah, and think about it. I mean, you know, I don't know if your family said this. My family was old school, and they used to joke. They'd be like, "Man, you can have 1 million like you." I said, "No, I'm not." And now I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Sorry, Mom. You know, sorry, Dad."
Oh yeah, I got my mom text message every week, and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah. But do we, you know, somebody had brought it to my attention. Are you going to be a helicopter mom, a supportive mom, or just a bystanding? I said, I'm not going to be any of those.
Yeah.
I'm going to, because it's when we stop thinking there's a cookie cutter layout of life is when we find out what works best for us. And when we look at children today, I mean, you can't even play Woody Woodpecker if you tried on public television right now. I mean, I was banned from watching Woody Woodpecker and Heckle and Jekyll. And it's like, what? But then you go on the other side of the camera of what they are and aren't teaching. And it's just like, what is the deal? And for someone like me, an empath, someone like me who's now elevated to a different level and perspective on life, manifestation, law of attraction, the secret, you know, thoughts become things. You're kind of foreign to most people because you're like, hey, let me live life through my heart and hopefully my mind will catch up rather than just doing as I'm saying, doing as the tabloids, doing as the media says, and then dealing with the repercussions, if you will, of the heart. And one of the things that for me as a victim, you know, throughout my life of bullying, physical, sexual, spiritual, mental abuse, I would never want that for our child. But I would be doing a disservice to shelter them from life.
Right.
Because everybody experiences the book of life in different chapters, different durations, and different moments in their life. And when we realize, one of the things that I truly work with the people I walk beside, especially if they're influencers or parents or even in other countries, don't allow the younger generation to fulfill your dreams. Allow them to have you welcomed in being part of their dreams. Because if you dictate, they're going to go the opposite way or they're going to rebel. And I, unfortunately, had to go through the experiences I did to go say, you know what? Now I'm going to step into these industries and change it and be the change, as you mentioned earlier on. Because as I was on the other side of the table, this is how I felt. And the only way I can change it is by stepping into that industry and molding what I can do within my willpower of what I can provide.
Yep. I love how you approach that because literally I've learned this. I mean, now, it's still crazy. Like I have a 10-year-old, but I'm more learning as a parent with my 3-year-old. And the independence and all that stuff is really building up now. Like this is only a 3-year-old I'm talking about. My little girl, and she's already in that independent mode. Go away, daddy, like this, and I'm just like, damn, let go. I'm like, my 10-year-old, like now he's at that point now where he's like, you know, hey, dad, I need my space, whatever. But he's got his moments where he's like, me and you need to hang out. Me and you need to do this. But my daughter, go away, daddy. Go away. Go away. And it's stricken me now. And like I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of my family when it comes to parenting and stuff. And they said it's better to know what they're doing instead of you sheltering them and then wondering, and then that's where the part goes, oh my gosh, you're in panic mode because you don't know what's going on. And then the worst case scenario is you don't let them go to school, you don't let them hang out with friends, you don't let them do this, and then they do the whole opposite.
Yeah.
So,
and it's about
totally
communication. It's about communication. You know, when our child was younger, we talked to them like they were a regular adult. In all due respect, we didn't do the Google Gaga thing, and was what I mean. What I meant is we explained things when they started questioning, when they started exploring. And, hey, what is this? I mean, our son decided he wanted to become a scientific chef. Well, a chef at the age of 4. And then as he matured, scientific. He just did 2 apprenticeship in a culinary institute from, ready, 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., full blown. And then he went back to the French restaurant for about 5 to 7 hours. But this is what I want people to understand. And this is my message on this segment. Remember who your parents were, what roles they took, what you wished, what you admired, what you missed. And then incorporate that into creating and developing the kind of parent you want to be. We're not their friends. And we have to remember that. Because we are going to be the sounding boards with proper communication and proper listening for them, their heroes, and then their heartaches. And one of the greatest connections and messages and gratefulness from my parents, you know, my father's still here, my mother passed, was that lines of respect and open communication. Yes, was I rebellious? Of course. We all have that stage. Yes, was I stubborn? Yes. But there were times that I would open up because of that trust and because of that respect, where I knew if I got in deep, I would tell my mother, my father was, my mother, they both were successful bankers and retired at age 55. However, my father was in the city, my mother was the local. So she did during the, elementary, middle school years, she worked school hours. And our father saw us with our eyes closed, because of his work, but he didn't miss a beat of our concerts, our competitions or what have you. But the key note that I remember, that I still hold true today, is that they always said, Andrea, no matter what you do what you love, do your best and do it right. And when you have that connection with that parent, yes, you're going to have the geeky dad, the geeky mom, come on, mom, you're embarrassing me moments. But you also want to have those moments.
Just recently. It felt so weird.
It
felt so weird. I was like, hold up. I was like, this is me you're talking about. What? Yeah. Dad, I can't do this. I'm like, what? I'm not there yet.
Right, yeah. And then think about it is, there's still times that I have to snap my finger and say, you're a parent. You're not still young. And I'm like, wait a minute, I am a parent. Oh man, I have to go in parent mode, especially when you get around those group of friends or whatever. And
I know, you feel young, and then it's like when you go around them again, it's like you don't realize how old you are until you're around your kids. And I'm like,
you're so old, dad, mom.
Like literally, I remember the last time we talked, I had that experience with Matthew on the trampoline park. Matthew didn't want to bounce with me. And I'm like,
what?
Like, bro, you what? I was like, bro, I'm not ancient. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can listen to music that you listen to. I'm pretty sure we are pretty in the cool level. And he sat there, was like, I text Mom. I was like, Mom, I don't know what to say about this. She's like, what's wrong? I was like, well, apparently I'm not cool enough to bounce with my son. And she's like, welcome to my world. I was like, oh, dang.
Yep. And it's a little bit sour taste going down because you're kind of like, you think
it's that jerk and Kurt moment. It's your child. Yeah, that's where it affects you. And it's just like,
how to dance. What? This is not music.
Man.
And then you're like, wait a minute, now I'm sounding like my parents. This is not music.
Oh yeah. I was like, hold up. I had to realize, I'm like, hold on, look at me. I'm looking around like, And then I look at the other parents, I'm like, man, I should be the cool one in here. And Matthew looked at me and was like, nah, Dad, you're embarrassing me.
What are you doing?
I had to
And
walk
it's like,
off. I was like, I took my 3-year-old. She was like, go away, Dad. I'm like, oh, man.
all of a sudden your ego just goes, whoosh, and you're like, really?
I
And then
know, all of it just gone. Just sucked all in there. Just evaporated. And I was just like, wow. And then I messaged my dad. And he was sitting there just laughing. He's like, yep, that's what that story we talked about. And I was like, man, this is too soon.
Yeah.
I was expecting 15, 16. I got a 10-year-old and my 3-year-old. And I'm like, there it is.
Because we have, again, it goes back to the perspective of being a parent, being that role model. You wear this like outfit per se, and then you're just like, wow, reality sits in.
That disguise evaporates and it's screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, yeah, I'm cool. And all your cool points just literally dissipated in like 2.3 seconds. You're just like, wow, okay. You know, but it's really one of the things that I remember as growing up was, you know, when you started like coming into your own with identity, you have to understand and know where the person's coming from, whatever age. Mm-hmm. Because if you're unable to resonate or relate, then you're just really just judging, you know, and you're assuming, and that's where the problem occurs, you know. And you had mentioned in one of the segments on the break, you said, you know, you realized your role as a father, your role as a wrestler, but then your role as a husband, and now what the world sees you as. And it's so different, but it's not. Because your mission and intention is the same. But you're, what I like to say, being a chameleon. You're blending in where you need to be to own the role that you've created. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy as a parent, you know, who's gone through different relationship conditions, medical conditions, and physical conditions, because you think here you are as this significant role. And I don't know if this has happened to you, but I remember going through the heartaches of development, and then all of a sudden your child puts their hand on your shoulder. Are you okay? And you're like, man, wait a minute, they're seeing this. Now, how do I explain that to them? Because what you want as a parent is to be a role model, to protect them, but also be to have pride in them. But then when they see your flaws, they see your heartaches. I'll never forget, and be mindful of your time, I had lost a good friend of mine. And we got the call and I didn't know what it was. And then I was told, and I just knee dropped to the ground and just wailed. And I remember that our son walked past and he was like, oh, are you okay, Mom? Are you okay? Are you okay? What's going on? Did I hurt you? Did I do something? And I felt so even smaller at that moment, mm-hmm. because of the perspective that was in that child's mind at that moment. Did I do something wrong? And that was a trigger. Wait a minute. Is that correlation when I'm upset resonating in his mind to him? And that really was a waking moment for me, because we want to protect our children, our family members, our loved ones, or even our friends. And like I said earlier in the segment, when my friend was like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. No. Take a breath. Are you all right? And when you go through so much trials and tribulations, failures, disappointment, judgment on every realm, you forget how to be human. And that's the number one lesson that's lost in this country, in this world today. We must embrace our emotions.
I've said it numerous times, man, and I think this would be the best title for the show. Everybody's got to drop the gimmick.
Yeah.
Drop the gimmick, learn how to live. And that's really how it needs to be. Like, I had to learn that at a very young age, but I'm very glad to know. Like, I've realized this too, and I think this is crazy to look at. I looked at a catchphrase recently, and it says, the more you get older, the wiser you start surrounding yourself with. Yeah. And I was like, I usually used to read these things and just like, okay, cool, that's a cool little catchphrase.
That's a cool quote, yeah.
But now it's like, I'm realizing like, yeah, that's not a lie. Like, I legit, regardless of everything I've went through, I've gotten to be who I am now. I've gotten to be this person that could sit here and maybe I'm not a college degree therapist or anything like that, and people find a reason to talk to me about their personal problems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, hey man, I catched you on this episode and this such and such. Like, I get these people. Like, I literally, one reason why I never gave up on that character that I had as American Prodigy was because I had kids message me on the Twitter and all that stuff, like telling me about their personal issues. Now I'm getting the same thing on some of the episodes that I got on with these, and they're like, man, you really helped me with this. Like, you really helped me with when you talk about your kid's situation and stuff like that. And I've had people, when I've guested on other podcasts, they would send me the messages about what effect that I've gotten on somebody with this, and I'm just like, you know what?
You're in your element. You're in your element.
I'm happy with this. And it was like, that vulnerability was scared as can be at first. Like, I legit did not want nobody to know about this. And I've made this very public now, and I've said it numerous times. I want you to hear it from me before you hear it from anything else.
Yep.
Because you see how bad the public eye is nowadays. The public eye does not give any compliments to anything anymore.
Nope.
It's got to be something that is going to tarnish what picture that they share or what something is going on. Somebody's going to say something negative. And I've told people, you've got to have a tough skin. Like, you could tell me, hey man, you got a big head. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. I mean, I wear a size. I gotta mess with a Velcro a little bit more with the big head, but you know, thank you. Like, literally, it's just like,
it's room for more wisdom.
Exactly. I was like, you know, I mean, apparently I was like, well, the funny thing is, since I stopped bumping, it's not rattling as much as bad anymore. Like, it's a little bit more of a duller in. I mean, I'm doing a little bit better. And one of them was just speechless after I made that comment. They're like, and then it was like, this guy blocked you. I was like, well, I guess we lost. I was like, okay.
Because we're not addressing the elephant in the room, and we are making everything so sensitive, so personal, that when you remove yourself from the situation and look at the facts and the root behind of the intention of the message, and you remove yourself, it may be wisdom or it may not, but you can't put yourself in every statement because you will never be happy. And when we are, you know, when I was growing up, I used to always be the quote unquote FBI, CIA of my family. I would never disclose anything. Hey, Andrea, what are you doing? I'm good. What are you doing today? Nothing, you know, and I would just be very monotone and very abrupt and just simple because of the fear of vulnerability. And nobody knew about my conditions unless the predators or the people I trusted in at that moment. And same like you. It wasn't until I mustered up the courage, I've mustered up the strength to say, hey, this is what my life is. This is what I experienced. And then they were like, wait a minute. We knew, but we didn't know. Why are you telling this? Why are you, you know, laundering your laundry? I said, because I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one going through abuse or bullying or traumatization. But if I don't speak about it, I can't help someone. And the last thing I was raised was not to hurt anyone and to help anyone when possible. And if I can say, hey, someone out there, do you know what it's like to go to sleep praying to God that nobody, you know, comes into your room and, you know, is ready to prey on you? No. Do you know what it's like to live through a thunderstorm and lightning storm, not knowing why it terrifies the heck out of you after millions of decades? No. Do you know what it's like not to trust someone anymore because of the constant broken promises, betrayal, and heartaches that you've went through? You talked about people just show up. I've told people, I can't tell how many people said they show up, and I'm still waiting. And these are the unspoken words. These are the real facts that everyday individuals from one corner to the other of the world are dealing with. But nobody wants to talk about it. They want to keep them shunned and protected and programmed. I said it, programmed.
Oh yeah. Oh, I call it robot mode. And that's one thing, like when I tell people when I do these episodes, I'm like, hey man, I don't pre-plan anything. That's when everybody's just like,
yeah.
Huh? But like when they do it, they feel so uplifted. They feel so different. Like they'll message me after. I was like, man, I never said half the stuff I've ever said on that episode.
Yeah.
And they were like, is that good? Did I look bad in it or not? I'm like, no, you came out and said what you need to say. You didn't say, hey, you killed somebody or anything like that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, we're not taking this. Like,
like
you might need more help than just coming out telling me what you did, buddy. But like some stuff like that. But it's like, and I love how you said that because everybody has got to realize there's a story with it, but you got to realize how do you want to make that chapter? How do you want to go? And that's one thing I tell people. There's only so many times you can drive that straight and narrow. Eventually, you're going to want to hesitate and just start doing this. And then of sudden, it's going to go like this. And if you just don't have no control of it, it's all over the place. It's literally you just made your own personal roller coaster.
And like, people won't accept that they've done that. They won't recognize it. And that's a jagged pill for me. Because, I mean, it took me years to realize it. Like I said, when I got hospitalized in 2016, I was just like, wait a minute, but hold on. I brought this upon myself. All of this. What the? Really? I've driven myself to the last yard line before 6 feet under because I didn't think there was another way. And when we explore the options and say, hey, there's no one or two ways, do it 1,000,000 times till you find what suits you. Your way that's comfortable for you, that doesn't hurt someone or hurt yourself, that's your way. Life is not cookie cutter. And we have to remember that. And we have to understand when we're talking, conversing, teaching, coaching, mentoring others. Well, you know what, Warren? I know this is the way I've done it. What works best for you to get the same result? And call them on their bluff. What are you doing? No, I'm gonna ask you, but at the same token, what are you doing constantly that you're expecting a different result?
So if experiences like that, I just treat people nice. That's the biggest thing. If you treat them nice and stuff like that, you don't realize just saying that hi, how effective that could be for somebody.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
I remember one time when I came back home and I saw a guy that literally was like my baseball coach for a long time ago. Yeah. And I was excited to see him. Like that changed his day. Like he felt wanted. He felt so appreciative. And then he texted my mom and he was like, you don't realize how much that hug meant to me. Like it meant so much. Like he was wanted. Like he's a cop. And I always saw this guy like a Superman character. And like when he told my mom, and then not even a month later, he found out he was going to be a grandfather. And he had his relationship with his son. And then he found out he was going to be, you know, having a daughter-in-law and all this. Like it was just so much more uplifting. I'm not saying my hug just changed his whole life, but it was like literally he felt wanted. Like I don't know if he had a depression thing for so long about, you know, with his marriage or what. Like I didn't know anything. I just came over, said, hey, how you doing? Like gave him a hug. Thank you for what you've done for me. Like this helped me. Like when I was playing t-ball and I made it play baseball a little bit further, but it's like those things. Like you just gotta just just to be appreciative of what you've done. Like I've sat here and said it numerous times, you know, I made it to college basketball. Regardless if I played it, I made it. I mean, if anybody knew my high school background, man, I was in my backyard every single night until it was dark and until I couldn't see a ball. And then my senior year, I eased up on it because I had a feeling. I was like, you know, I'm white, 5'9", if I have 2 bad knees, I ain't going to college. I'm not going to play basketball.
Right.
And then I got that call. And I got that invite to go play for Team USA for the high school thing or whatever. Yeah. And that just made me more motivated to keep going. And that's what made me change my mind. Like, hey, maybe I can. And that's one reason why I walked on to FAU, because I gave up. I gave up on my opportunity. I could have had a scholarship and done it, but I walked on at this school. And that's way harder. I will tell you that right now. That is a very hard task to walk on a college team that you've got people that have got their scholarships instantly right there. I got a nice scholarship at the end of it, but it was a walk-on. And it made me hit a major credit plateau when I didn't finish school. And then they were like, hey, here's your bills and all this other stuff. Yeah. And
reality.
Now it's all paid off now, but I'm just saying, like, I really had a setback moment when I was playing basketball because I felt like, you know, because I already had 2 bad knees. The results show, you know, basketball players, you know, that look like me don't jump and fly. You're not getting signed anywhere. And like a jump shot will only do so much, but I went and I kept going. I kept just ignoring the naysayers, done what you needed to do, perform. I mean, I never played point guard in my life. That was the hardest. I'd still say to today, that was probably the hardest training I've ever done, was to get prepared to play in college ball, because I had to learn how to dribble, because I was only a shooting guard. Literally, I would just go to the line, shoot the ball, run back every single time. Maybe play occasional defense. Like, I was never like that ball handling or anything. I avoided all these things because I'm like, that's not my game. And then when I went to college, that guy all exposed. Every single bit. Like, this boy can't dribble the ball with both hands. This boy can't do this. This boy can't do that. And I'm just like, F that. Like, I remember I would be in the gym late at night, dribbling 2 balls, just timing myself, doing everything I could. Like, I literally drove myself so insane. Like, I burned myself out playing basketball. When I found out I was going to be a father, like, as excited I was that I made the team, I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know what? Maybe I did not want this, because I legit did not pick up another ball for like almost 2 years. Because it was just like, I'm so drained from it, because I pushed everything I could to play this game. And it was like, you know, and I still say to this day, like, that's probably one of my biggest failures in ways, because I just burnt myself out and I never cared for it again. And that's why I took maybe a passion more of being the father and being the wrestler, and now this is because I've always put my dedication into everything I do now. And those are the things that people just got to realize. It's okay to be dedicated, but you also got to see the pause buttons. And that's why the 100th episode, I did exactly what I did. I did a climatic ending to, this guy's been talking trash for 4 months. I got all my results out in just that episode. Teased it out, I was trying to get him off this episode instantly, that whole episode, and still made it an appreciative 100 episode. I was so enthused. I was so shocked of just how everybody was sending me videos and stuff, like shout out to me and all this. Like, it was a great overall episode, and everybody was messaging me like, hey man, I don't think you need to go on the break. Like, I had the people that I was like with Spotify, and them, they were like, you shouldn't be going on break right now. Like, this has been your high moment right now. We need you to keep going. Like, that episode, you need to keep going. I was like, no, I need a pause button because my son's coming. That's my thing. Like, that's one thing I made very clear. I will have breaks around. I will go all the way through. Say like, well, I didn't start exactly in August this time. I started in September, just because of stuff that we had going on. But I'm going to go to September until almost to that summertime, and then I'm going to go back on that break mode, just because that is just my time with my son.
That works for you. That's your flow.
Better. Like I might even go on a break a little bit earlier, just depending on how everything goes. But it's just those things. Like I'm already made that goal to like, all right, I'm gonna give content out as long as I can until when Matthew's here or whatever. Which Matthew loves these episodes. Matthew is wanting to do one now we got all this new stuff and the green screen. He's wanting to try a Twitch channel where he could like talk about fans all day.
There you go.
And stuff like that. So like it helps him in ways too, and that's what I'm just saying. Like as long as I can motivate somebody, you're doing your job.
But do you see this is what I want to bring home is, do you see the impact and influence you have on your family? And do you see the grind and the legacy you're building for your children?
I'll say yes, but also you got to think too of my wife, and it's like, oh man, like I'm not around a lot because obviously I'm in the room recording constantly and stuff like that. Like I had to learn that big time, especially from the past episodes, like my past seasons, because I literally would just sit in that room, record all through our scheduled recording.
Right.
Now I'm actually managing all my time now. Like I'm literally like, okay.
And that's
that calendar thing that I send everybody, that thing has been amazing. Yeah. Like, I got set scheduled, like, okay, this is the time I can goodies, this is the time I'm done. Tuesday to Friday, that's all you get. Like, these things, like, and everybody's like, man, that's a cool
discipline. It comes down to discipline and action. Plan life according to you.
It's a cleanse to me. That's what I would call it, cleanse.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're emulating and sharing, you know, I'm reminded of two quotes, one being that of Jim Carrey, the greatest currency, you know, you can give person is your time. And then the other one is, you know, Maya Angelou, you know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what you've emulated over the past couple of seasons. You've shown up, you've shown loyalty, diligence, dedication, drive, determination, and now you've revolutionized to the area of impact, influence, intrigue, and inspiration. And that is the growing pains of walking into your life created by you. That is the evolution and the transformation that you are constructing, that people are learning from. We don't, like I said before, we don't have a manual in our lives. You know, our story is told to us when we are younger, but at one point, and at what point do you take the pen and start writing your own story? You know, everybody says, oh, well, who says you have to do the 9 to 5, 10 to 6, 11 to 12, graveyard shift? Who says you have to work 40 hours? Who says you have to work 5 days a week? You find out your comfort and your niche and your zone and your passion, anything is possible. You can create it and you develop it. But going back to the initial statement we started this segment is discipline. Discipline with yourself, discipline with your family and friends and supporters, and discipline management with life. And if you create discipline, but be able to be flexible, and as Warren said, press that pause button. Life is but a game. You can either be a spectator or a player. You could be offense or defense. But it's how you feel to, you know, really make it work for you. Everybody's different. I can't hear you.
Andrea, I greatly appreciate it. I guess I had to finish off with a good laugh. Is there any last shout out you want to do? Any last thing? Like I said, you are more than welcome. Come on, anytime. Thank you again. This is very uplifting and more motivation.
No, always appreciate your support. You are one living testimony of paying it forward. Always, I appreciate it. I would love to have a connection.
Maybe my sound will work next time.
Yeah. I would love to have a connection with you on the unspoken word needs to be heard. Absolutely. And for those of you, again, if you haven't checked out the last segment, I'm still wanting to help people any way that I can. So connect with me at AndreaMasons.com and redeem your free gift there. Link will be below. And Warren, keep doing your thing. I'm so proud of you, and it's an honor to be back. Keep on going.
Thank you. You have a great rest of
All right, guys, time to get to go home queue. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Andrea for coming back on and just doing her magic, man. That's all I can say. Just doing her magic, being the inspiration that she is, doing the good deeds that she always does. It's just a beautiful thing. Also, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay in contact with all our platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Tumblr, guys. And obviously, you can catch us on all audio platforms. This episode will be out audio-wise exactly the exact same time as the video one. So that's a big deal. We are finally getting it arranged where we can do with that. Guys, not much else I can really say. Also, guys, make sure you go buy the merch. Go to bonfire/Buzzing with Marlowe. Get you a hat, hoodie, tank top, V-necks, long sleeves, short sleeves, long hoodies, 3/4 sleeves. Go and get them. Support the podcast. Also, guys, we're going to do a holiday giveaway. That's right. We're going to be calling the Buzzing with Christmas special. That's right, guys. Buzzing with Christmas. If you share, whoever shares the most compared to all the episodes we've had this going up season, from season 4, from the beginning of 2002 till now, whoever does the most shares will win a free Buzzing with Marlowe merch of whatever their choosing is. Whatever they're choosing, they get it. It's just one, like a shirt, a hat, whatever they want. They get to have that one of their own, of their choosing. But the contest is, you have to follow the podcast. You have to like the episode. You have to subscribe to our YouTube channel or whatever platform they are. Show proof and tell me a lesson that you have learned in one of the episodes, or also they will qualify and we'll do a question. I give you one question. If you answer it, you win the prize. Also, guys, we are going to do another giveaway soon. Basically, actually another fundraiser, kind of like a fundraiser. All funds will go to, like, proceeds to a special camp and stuff. When I say like special camp, I'm talking about, with autism awareness, colon cancer, breast cancer. We got epilepsy month that just went by. That's a big one for my household, just from my family's perspective. A lot of awesome foundations. I'm currently, getting prepared not only to get this thing built up with me and El Nino, but I'm currently now getting myself back into gear. My flag brothers, I miss y'all. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all soon. I'm also planning a gender reveal party pretty soon for some friends of mine from the team that I'm going to be playing with in the Flag Football World Championship in Tampa, Florida in January. That's going to be a big one. Also, my anniversary is going to be coming up as well. I will officially be married for 5 years to my beautiful wife. That's insane to me. And she's surprising me, taking my crazy behind on a ship. So we're going to be on a cruise for our anniversary. So I'm kid-free, it's going to be insane. Kid-free, noise-free, all that combustion, just a cleanse. It's going to be a cleanse. And to celebrate 5 years of my beautiful wife is going to be awesome. And of course, we've got continuous Buzzing with Marlowe episodes coming up. We've got the Royal Rumble coming up. That's going to be the big animosity show for wrestling, in my opinion. The next DCCW show just got announced, and it should be, I think, in February. So that's going to be awesome as well. Also, I'm going to be taking a couple of bookings in between February and March. So give y'all a heads up on those as well. Um, got a lot of stuff in store. A lot of stuff in store. We've been busy. We've been busy. Um, season 4 will end, like I say, it'll either be April or end of May. We're not totally fully sure yet, but it's going to be around those times. But guys, I want to thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for the support every single week, every single share, audio, everything. Like, for us to be on so many audio platforms is just insane to me. We're nowhere near stopping. Nowhere near stopping. Next week's episode, guys, it's going to be interesting. Let's just say the least. It's going to be interesting. But guys, I thank y'all. I love y'all. I think Commission Talks season finale is next week as well. So thank y'all guys for watching, tuning in. I love y'all. Y'all have a great weekend. Don't go crazy. Don't beat up anybody for no Turbo Mans. See, I'm revealing my age. But guys, thank y'all. I love y'all. And I will see y'all when I have more buzz down the road. Boop, boop, boop. Boom. Later.